this one should be fun. Luis Suarez.
There you go.
We've already actually argued about this before coming on
Gate.
camp, so this should be.
That's what
this
I
should be
walked into
interesting.
earlier.
Yeah. Welcome back, Nate.
Hey!
Thank you.
So Luis Suarez bites a guy for the third time, World Cup, and gets banned. To break down the ban, we've got £65,000, 4-month ban from all
Any
football
football.
activity, and obviously he's the troll of the internet and social media.
9-month international games.
Nine games.
Games.
9 international
Sorry.
matches.
9 months.
Following on from that. Straight back into it, Eco, why do you think it's okay?
What, the ban or
Everything.
I don't know. It was everybody was watching it. We all saw Suarez force his mouth to Chiellini's arm, shoulder rather. It was forced because you were just
He
banning.
intentionally did it. The intention was there.
He said it was unintentional.
There was, I think the ban on playing was reasonable. The fine, not so much. But the football activities, kind of too steep. Because it affects him for a player. Yeah.
It's a source of livelihood. Eh.
Yeah.
I think that's also my concern. I agree with you.
And then again, he's the type of player who the will to win it's everything to him. I think I read in an article way back before the World Cup started about an incident with Suarez and he was 15 years old and
He headbutted an opponent, right?
after he
Supposedly, yes.
after he got a red card. I think that was true. I think the more concern here is the way he thinks. He's a good player. Come on, he knocked England out by his own. Or
Cheers. He's about Man United.
come on, he really is a good player.
Yeah.
Yes.
No one doubts his quality
No
on
one
the pitch.
doubts.
The sanctions were alright, but some were a bit too much, and some are just too short. The fine is, I think, too short. We saw Nicholas Better
60,000.
got fined for a bigger amount just because his underwear had some advertising on it.
In the
Paddy
Euros,
Power.
in the Euros
Yeah.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
diba? Paddy Power, diba?
Paddy Power.
And I thought it was fine for it being lime green. I think that would have been more acceptable.
Lime green?
It was, right?
Yeah, it
White
was.
and lime green.
That would be some
Irish
expensive,
colour.
Yeah.
Well.
expensive underwear.
Yeah.
But then again, yes, diba? I think the point Eco is making is that maybe the monetary aspect, maybe the fine is a bit. Give us a perspective naman. Kasi we were discussing earlier, diba?
Yeah.
Why were you saying parang it's I think we were talking earlier about how fines
how-
for racism are actually
Lower.
lower.
Diba?
Lower, yeah.
I think Suarez got banned for racism and there's a fine of what, 45,000 pounds or euros? Too short. And considering that this is also a main
Far
issue.
fewer games.
Yeah.
Yes.
Far fewer games.
Was it 8 games?
Yeah. But this is also a main concern for FIFA since you have a lot of African players who've been thriving in leagues everywhere. Yaya Toure for one. And Didier Drogba as well. And they week by week they experience that kind of treatment from
That's right.
some
From
unreasonable
players.
fans. Dani Alves, for example, with that.
Even Balotelli, diba? In
Of course,
Serie A.
So,
So, diba? Recently, diba? There were memes of him caught crying supposedly,
Yeah.
diba? On the bench. But anyway, that's another point.
Yeah.
But going back, I think the no football part is too much. But then again, he can transfer. I think there's a number of clubs wanting his name.
Yes, that's the
Barcelona,
only thing he can
Madrid.
do, right?
I'm not sure he
According
will
to that.
anymore. Yeah, he can transfer, but he still can't play football for
Yes.
those 4 months.
Yeah.
So if you spend
He
100
can't even
million
train.
euros on him, as someone might have done previously, you can't train with the guy for that length of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's not even allowed to step foot in a stadium to watch.
You can't
games.
even
that's why-
advertise
in
him
everyone.
moving
Yeah.
into the club.
That's why
Mm.
that ban on the format
That is
ban
too much. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was saying earlier also that I think the 9 international games ban I think is I think
That's
rather
reasonable.
fair.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Fair.
reasonable. Of course, especially because this is still within the purview, the supervision, the jurisdiction of FIFA. I think more directly, I think there's less of a gray area when it comes to that. Of course, this is happening.
By the we can also consider is that 9-game ban just covers
Friendlies or
international friendlies,
competitive.
competitions or World Cup per se.
Well, yes, it's already
banned only
yeah.
for the World Cup and
No.
No, but it's covered by the format football activity. It's covered there.
So it started with the Colombia-Uruguay
Game.
match in the
Yeah,
knockouts. He was not there anymore, so I think that's already
And but-
1 out of the 9.
But
I think.
credit to the Uruguay team, they still honored him. They had his jersey in
up.
the
Yes, in the locker room.
It's
It
a
was
good
still there.
gesture.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tell us about that because it was very heated earlier on. So tell us why you think it's okay.
I think I think because this isn't the first time this happened for this player. I think it's the third time he did this, and I think FIFA has had enough of what he's been doing because this is the third time, and he did it in a
In a
stage
global,
Oo.
that's been watched by billions of people. I mean, if this were an isolated case, probably, but this guy, I don't think FIFA has foreseen someone who's going to bite someone 3 times during a game. I don't think they've foreseen this
Well,
this
that's
incident.
true. That's
I
true.
think, and I think my main concern is how is he going to get better with this sanction? I mean, that's I think the bigger
It's more the psychological help.
the psychological. What's up here? If he's ready to go back after this, the sanctions given to him, because even if you give him the sanction and yet he's not
He'll do
okay,
it again.
he'll do it again.
It's a big chance.
So that's
And-
something to think about.
And the
Yeah.
Premier League starts in less than
In
2
August.
months, diba?
Exactly.
So that's
Yeah.
already like halfway through the 4-month ban. So just imagine what kind of a Luis Suarez Liverpool will have coming back
Or
in 4
the
months.
question
time.
is, will he stay with Liverpool?
Or that, of course. More
Mm.
importantly, I think the thing about Luis Suarez before this incident happened with Italy is that he kind of already was able to, salvage his reputation from the last
He was the
Premiership
hero in
season.
the game
He
before.
was,
Yeah.
diba? And
He was the hero.
diba? And people were, people were
Wow.
pinning their hopes, at least the Liverpool fans, diba?
Yeah.
Were pinning their hopes on him, on perhaps winning
Making
the
a
title
revival.
last season. Sayang. I think I
Yeah.
kind of felt bad because, of course, I
You really have to feel
yeah.
bad for Luis Suarez.
Of course.
Good player, but again,
The only player I would think of given these incidents, si Balotelli, pero you were right in saying it. I think it's the stage where it
Stage
happened.
it happened.
During Man City training, nagsuntukan
Parang
si
bust up.
Balotelli tsaka si Mancini noon pa yon, no, si Mancini pa. Tapos
Well, tell us
he
then,
burned
why
his
is it-
house. Iba siya eh, di ba?
Why is it worse than the biting someone should
Okay.
be much worse than headbutting, elbowing a person, punching a person? Not just about how many times it is, but because there are players who have punched players
Yes, of course, of
repeatedly,
course.
elbowed and headbutted other players. So why is biting worse than any of those other violent actions?
But maybe this is just me, okay? I was telling Suarez earlier. I think it's just, not to say it's right, of course, but I think it just comes off as a bit, I don't know how to say that, easier in a way to, because these are I don't know, these are extremities, diba? I mean, it's a lot easier to, I don't want to use the word because it kind of, I don't want to make it sound like we're abdicating responsibility for the players, but it's easier to move these body parts involuntarily than let's say if it were to if it
But
were for a
you
person
can
to
see the
bite
people
someone.
who intentionally punch it. There's
naman.
for example, there's a
Yes,
case
yes.
of there's someone who's punched someone and it's obviously intentional
Oo.
3 times in a row. Why would that not be as bad, or if it was a headbutt, if it was elbow? Why wouldn't that be as bad as biting someone intentionally 3 times?
I think they should be just as bad. I don't think there's any difference or there's any contest there. I think the point is that people are, not to say that they're expected to be, punching or headbutting each other. I think it's just a little bit
Odd.
it's just odd, I think, for like I was telling Yabs earlier off cam.
It's like when you fight with
Yes,
someone.
when you
don't
fight
with
if
someone.
it's a street brawl,
You punch them, right?
yeah,
you
you
don't bite them.
well,
Maybe as last resort.
Yeah, maybe you
Yeah,
can,
last
but
resort. But
Yeah.
the natural thing to do,
Use your hands.
if someone punches you, you punch them back.
not to say
You
that
don't
not
bite them
that
or
it's
something.
it's more acceptable. I think to me you're right. Lahat yan mali. You're not
Yeah.
that should have no room in what was originally called in the 19th century the gentleman's game.
Yes.
Diba? So I honestly I do not
Bear
have
in
the
mind
answer.
that in the
I don't have
19th
the answer for
century,
it.
you've got people hacking into
Yes,
the
of course,
shit.
of course.
So I'm not sure it was called the gentleman's game back then, to be honest.
Or maybe
It was really-
maybe the early
Wait,
20th
di ba rugby
then.
yun?
Back then they were deciding on the rules.
Next topic
whether
na yan.
they could-
Di ba rugby yun?
Meron daw rugby ano, meron
May
daw
rugby incident.
Oo.
It is
Yeah,
gentleman's
the
game.
point there about like you're saying it's not natural. Why
Well,
does that
not-
have a basis in terms of something being normal or no, or as you say odd? Why would that have any basis in terms of giving 3 games to 4 months? Why does that leap come from that oddness?
Well, because I think if, as explained earlier, diba, if it's the natural inclination of a person to do it. For example, if you're getting hurt, for example, someone punches you, you punch them back. You don't.
But how many
do
people
something
are
else.
bitten in a fight? That happens a lot.
Well, no, but
Just
if
ask Mike
if you're
Tyson.
normally if
Well,
you're going to judge yung normal na gagawin mo in a situation like that, you don't bite someone when someone punches you. You punch them back. You don't
Tsaka
bite
medyo,
them back.
ako medyo,
Yeah.
if that were me, medyo nakakadiri having to actually.
Yeah,
Ako yun, personally.
There's no disagreement with that. It's a bit weird. That it's a bit odd. But
It's
why
a
does
bit
it?
odd.
Why does it justify a 3-game
As
ban
again-
becoming a 4-month ban?
As I said,
That's a completely different.
To be fair, I think we were right in saying earlier that there was no legal precedent at all anywhere, diba? Just as nobody in the Premier League back
Yeah.
then foresaw
Probably.
that a
That it
player
can
would
happen.
kick a fan. So
Yeah.
I guess in a way these I don't know,
Nag-evolve
governing
na ba?
bodies or leagues or whatever, kind of I agree with you, kind of have to make
An example
make
also.
stuff up along the way, or
And
write the
unfortunately,
rules
I think
as they go.
unfortunately it's him.
Yes,
at this
unfortunately
moment.
it's him. I mean, honestly, like I said, I don't know. But that's just me.
I'm just wondering
Uh-oh.
whether, for example,
Mhm.
this is in a bit of a larger context.
Okay,
They've got
okay.
the Ronaldo versus Messi narrative,
Mhm.
and now Suarez has come up as a legitimate
Yes,
challenge
to a
them,
certain extent,
Whether
yes.
it's within a larger context of pulling him down. Don't get me wrong. I think the guy's a dick. I think Suarez is a he's a bad person.
Yes.
He cheats as much as he can. He celebrated that save against Ghana.
Yes, of
Yes.
course,
It's
of
just
course.
completely unabashed
Right.
celebration. But what, for me, is a bit odd is the, without going too far into what's natural and what's odd again, is that this is a precedent for something that it's saying that biting is worse than any of these things, like racism, like anything, because they're giving a bigger sanction for it.
But maybe that's what FIFA wants, I think.
To say that biting's worse than
I think
racism?
so, because they're the ones who's making the rules, eh.
Mr.
Well,
Blatter,
right,
we
okay.
need your statement
Yeah.
here.
Our
but
question
I'm
here
just- I'm
is
just
that
saying-
right?
Yeah, but that's not the debate.
I think the
It
answer
is. That is debate. That's the question. Is the
Mm.
sanction right?
But you're asking if it's the right thing to do for FIFA to give him that sanction, right?
I guess to my mind it's not something to be fair, it's not something I think even analysts can actually say, to be fair, diba? Kasi totoo naman yung sinasabi ni Roy, whose call is it really to say what's worse? I mean, what?
Yeah, at this
Maybe
point.
what if down the road someone stabs another player on the pitch, diba? So suddenly, how do you craft the rules for that? How
Hopefully that's a criminal case.
No, I know,
In case of
but
FIFA.
diba?
Someone shot a
even then-
referee. What?
Oh,
diba?
that's different also,
It's
diba?
different.
So
Yeah,
but
the
but
game.
yun nga eh. So I don't know. I don't know, to be honest, where's the line drawn really?
Does the fact that Chiellini, the guy he bit, said that the ban was excessive, does that bear any factor at all?
I think so, because again, the 4-month ban on him not being
Yes.
able to attend any football stadium or anything, or even probably go to an event regarding football, that's already detrimental to the player, because who loves football, who's seen by his country as the next big thing.
Freaking bitten anymore.
For me,
Well, yes, fair
Chiellini
point.
doesn't have the authority to actually give him the punishment.
Yeah.
He can only say na
What's on his mind.
What's on his mind, what's his opinion. But as to authority, as to give him the punishment,
Again, this
I don't
is-
think he has
this is
that.
FIFA's call,
It's
and-
FIFA's call.
It's FIFA's call, but is it correct? That's the question. That's the section. of
Right
this
now,
discussion.
that's what they
on
think
some
that's
parts,
It's not what
Yes.
they
What-
think, it's what we think.
no.
Yeah,
for,
but that's for them to give them the punishment. That's
For-
what they think is right.
for me, the FIFA decision.
What do we think?
Half and half.
Well,
What
I
do you
don't
think?
think- what do you think?
Individually.
Yes! What do you think?
Individually, do you think it's correct?
I have to stand by what FIFA says. If that's what
The
they
lawyer,
say,
that's
that's
why.
the authority. That's what I
I
stand
would,
by.
like I said, my question is the whole source of livelihood part. I think that's also the point that Iko's trying to make. Or even just for someone who loves the sport. I think international matches, you know what? Make it 18 perhaps. I don't know. But I think the
Don't
4-month
deny
ban
him
kasi it's
participation.
actually it's overlapping into
club football.
into commercial, into club football. It's, yes, FIFA ultimately still has jurisdiction over this, but it becomes more of a domestic concern for the FA. I don't know, to my mind. Premier League yan, 'di ba? So yun nga, it's an all-encompassing ban, 'di ba? He cannot even play football on the moon, 'di ba? I would suppose so. But
I don't think FIFA have jurisdiction of football
on the moon.
So technically speaking,
so maybe he can. Okay.
If
But
he somehow became an astronaut.
But he'll have to play alone, 'di ba? But whatever. But yeah.
I'm sure the astronauts there would love that. But it's more of a question of consistency. Because if you're looking at the differences between the punishments, obviously it's not consistent. Obviously you want to challenge FIFA's authority in doing this, and you want the rules to be the same for everyone.
Yes.
It shouldn't be a case of
course,
the rules changing depending on who it is and what the reputation
even
is.
nga, 'di ba, yung illegal supposedly underwear with commercial messages versus racism.
Yeah.
Even that's another issue.
That's the
unto itself.
highest fine that FIFA
Yes,
have
of
given
course.
was just the commercial interest.
Yes.
So you can see where FIFA's attitudes lie
Obviously,
and what
that's right,
they
that's right.
prioritize. But I mean, I don't think anyone, for example, would. I mean, you talk about the source of livelihood. Let's be honest, he's a rich guy. It doesn't.
Oh,
really
yeah.
matter.
Yes.
It's not going to count him out. 60,000 is nothing to the guy. But it's more about. It's more about like, for example, if you find the guy a month or 2 months' wages, and if you made that standard across, then that would help to proportionally direct the fines.
Just to standardize, punishments
to standardize
or
the
something.
fines.
Yeah.
But more if you find the guy this much money, you can show like that's going to hurt him. Obviously, that's going to do this and that's going to do that, and that's what's going to be the punishment there. Whereas the 4-month ban of football is pretty much unprecedented, unless we're talking about drugs, unless we're talking about real cheats, hardcore cheats. And that's the I don't think anyone would disagree with increasing the money, with increasing the financial fine. At the same time, the 4-month football ban seems a bit
too harsh
in comparison to the other discipline that FIFA have given out. That's why it's not consistent. And that was my concern with making it, this is now a precedent case, where if someone bites a guy, he's got to get banned for 4 months.
Sige, 4 months, diba? Actually, diba, in this case of Beckenbauer, and this it's a more administrative case, but he was banned for any football for 90 days, I think. Yeah. So again, yun nga maybe I think it's also consequence of FIFA having to, like I said, write the rules as they
Pull
go.
it out their ass.
Yes, diba? Yes.
But you have to make the rules.
Yeah, to a certain
Yeah,
extent,
but
yes, of course.
They're
of course.
controlling it.
So why not
They can
actually
easily
write it
revise
down
if
and
they
make
want
it
to.
consistent?
Yes. We can.
Maybe now is the time. I don't know.
Maybe now is what the time that you're going to set the standard for that. Because this is not happened before. A player.
Yeah, but the biting falls under
right?
dangerous play, which is part of the rules.
Well,
The
yeah,
dangerous play and the fines are part
but
of
the
that.
person did it 3 times already. In
And
the
as we
World
talked
Cup.
about before,
times
there
in
are
the
people
grand
who've
stage.
punched people
In a
more than 3
grand stage.
times.
So maybe they would have to adjust to the situation
I
or in the context that it was made.
I will concede I do not know the factors that came, of course, with FIFA deciding.
Yes,
so
actually, this disciplinary
Episode
committee.
18 minutes, guys.
So there's a time to wrap it up. What do you guys think? Obviously, I don't think we'll agree in the next 2 years. So give us your thoughts. Should the financial thing be increased and the length of time decreased? Should he have got even more? Some
Hey,
people
he's getting
have
an
called
appeal,
to ban
so-
for everything.
Yes.
There's an appeals process, so we'll see what will
That's
happen
right.
Yeah,
about
you
that.
can do it.
So follow us at FTW Sports and tell us what you think.